So, I don't really understand, Renee. Why is this Galleon guy such a problem? Why do they have to keep having the council order him down? I mean, according to you, your father doesn't really have those types of problems with the other two. Border his territory, they seem to have sort of a understanding of territories and how things work. They respect those boundaries, so problems between them are rare. So what makes this Galleon guy different? Why does he cause problems? And how is causing all these problems supposed to get him the power he wants? Ugh, Galleon, Renee said, rolling her eyes a bit. What an idiot. Listen, Galleon starts problems because he's an idiot. Out of all of the different packs bordering my father's territory, Galleon is somewhat new. He's only about 60 years old, and spent most of his time working up through the ranks in his own pack, before finally becoming a leader about a decade ago. And since then, he's been nothing but trouble. Galleon is still very young, so he doesn't see the things older werewolves see. He's still trying to work in the timeline of a human lifespan, everything having to be done quick, fast, and in a hurry. Your lifespan being very limited. Werewolves can live countless hundreds of years. They don't play by the same timelines. Even if they have conflict with other wolves, it could take multiple human lifetimes before they even think about making a serious move. They simply plan. It's a chess game that lasts hundreds of years. But while everyone else is playing eternal chess, Galleon is playing tic-tac-toe, thinking that every little thing he does is going to be the final stroke that gets him the power he wants. It does fit his personality. After all, before he was turned into a werewolf, Galleon was, well, a mobster. Just a common criminal. Actively, he still is a mobster. Well, at least as far as humans are concerned. He holds a great deal of power and status within the mob community. A werewolf has added that extra edge to his criminal empire, which has only made his transition into being a werewolf harder to make. Still thinks of everything in terms of mob rules and werewolf conflicts for territory, the same way enemy mafias battle for territory. Some day-by-day struggle where everything's a fight. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he was the first person in quite a while to get stripped of leadership. In fact, it has been suggested by the council, but as of yet, they've yet to get a unanimous vote on it. Once again, it takes yes from every single member of the council in order to make anything law, but the same is also required for major actions, especially considering other packs. Meaning, in order to strip someone of leadership, they require a unanimous yes vote from all 10 members. Meaning that all 10 members have to agree that that werewolf is simply too dangerous to werewolf society as a whole to leave as a pack leader. And let me tell you, you have to seriously screw up for that to happen. Even just being an asshole won't do it. You have to do something that, well, is basically unforgivable. Something so foolish that it's either impossible to cover up or so detrimental to the cause of keeping our society a secret that there's no way the council is going to overlook it and let you keep being a leader. Honestly, out of the pack leaders that border our father, I say our because officially he's now your stepfather by marriage. But as far as the packs that border us, I'd say I find the Soats most agreeable. Their leader, Raven Soat, seems to be a fairly balanced man. He's about 800 years old, actually a little older than my father, and his family tribe have actually been werewolves for a considerably long time. all accounts, he's actually fairly likable. He can be somewhat stern given certain situations, but that's fairly normal for leaders. They have to be stern about certain things. But by all accounts, according to the members of his pack, he's a very kind leader and thinks of all of the members of his pack like his family. In fact, I've heard tell of him putting his life on the line to protect even the smallest members of his pack, which earns him a great deal of respect with them. The members of the Sowat pack would gladly sacrifice their lives for him. They respect him immensely. And despite the fact that his pack standing is actually somewhere around 75 out of the 150 some odd different packs there are around the world, he actually garners a fair amount of respect from other packs. And even the council looks on him highly. So, he's exceptionally strong. Truth be told, if he really wanted it, he could have a stronger standing, most likely being placed somewhere in the high 30s, maybe even the 20s in pack standing, gaining more territory and power. But Sowat simply doesn't seem to want it. He's perfectly content with the territory he possesses. So long as his pack members are safe and happy, he doesn't seem to care. My father has had many meetings with him. They actually seem to be quite friendly with each other. Okay, so this Sowat guy seems reasonable. Nice even. But there is one other one, right? The female pack leader. What's the deal with her? Don't get me started on that woman. To be honest, I don't like her. She was actually one of the original nobles who came here from England, back when they first started settling America, and was turned shortly after that. She's the type of woman who, honestly, is always laying some sort of plan. Everything is a plot with her. You never get straight answers no matter what you ask her, and everything she does has a hidden agenda, no matter what it is. And as far as figuring out what that agenda is, good luck on that. That woman's head is a bag of cats. Best not to reach your hand in. But she seems fairly wise, at least when it comes to confrontation. She's smart enough not to start a fight she can't win, or to push bounds when there's simply no point in doing it. But don't trust her. If you ever come in contact with her, she'll most likely try to game you. And if she gets the chance, she'll take power. She knows she can't beat my father in a head-on confrontation. Our pack is stronger, and the council wouldn't allow a drastic move like that, even if she did have the strength for it. All-out war between packs is something that the council doesn't tend to favor. Wars are noisy, they draw lots of attention, and are at danger of exposing our society. So, wars are basically shunned, and are very rarely given permission to go forward. But pay close attention, Victor. If she gets the opportunity to take an underhanded move, she will. That woman is a cutthroat, through and through. Best interests are the only things that matter to her. If it benefits her and she can do it, underhanded or not, you won't find her hesitating to stick a knife right in your back. Okay, so don't trust her. That's a good thing to know. Alien's a mad mobster, and the only reasonable one seems to be Sowat. Ugh, all of this is so complicated. Are we ever gonna just get time to hang out and go to the movies again? Well, of course we are, Victor, he said, as she calmly strolled over, getting out of her own seat and sitting in my lap, as I had taken a seat on a fairly comfortable chair. She leaned back, placing her head against my chest and looking up at me. Remember, you're just in the learning process right now. Not gonna have to be learning forever. Eventually, you'll get all the basic information and be well enough rounded as a werewolf That we won't have to constantly bury you in facts and information, and your life can go back to normal, or at least reasonably normal. And that's when me and you can relax together, and go back to having fun, watching movies and stuff like that. Don't worry about it, Victor. Life will feel normal again, I promise, Renee said as she turned herself sideways in my lap, pulling her legs up into the chair, wrapping her arms around me, and simply laying there in my lap, head pressed against my chest, which honestly felt very comforting. So I wrapped my arms around her. We stayed like that for a time. I'm not sure how long. Long enough that I actually got very comfortable and started to drift off, falling asleep a bit. As I drifted off into a dream, the dream was actually very odd, off-putting actually. In the dream, I suddenly found myself in a long corridor. The entire place looked ancient and creepy as hell, made from stone, like I was standing in some sort of medieval castle. It was dark, extremely so, exceptionally chilling. It felt so real. I could almost feel a cold, chilly breeze blowing through that corridor. And on each side of me, there seemed to be candles, each tucked into its own little cavern or nook, safely inside of a candle holder. But all of them were different. Some looked very new, and others looked old and worn, scuffs and scrapes in places. They all had different designs. Some were engraved, others were very basic. Some look ornate, but each and every one seemed to be vastly different from the one next to it. But that wasn't the strangest part. The dream seemed to just keep getting weirder. As I looked into the candles, I could actually see people, like seeing someone on a television screen, except it was in the fire itself of the candle. And the closer that I looked at the entire area that the candle was placed in, the more I began to see something very strange. From each candle, there was a thread wrapped around its base that seemed to stretch off behind the candle. And these cubbies where the candles were kept seemed to just stretch off into shadow. Light from the candle, it should have lit the back of whatever was there, but there seemed to simply be nothing. Just chasms of darkness with a thread leading out into them. And the deeper I tried to look, trying to follow the thread as it went out, the thread seemed to multiply, spreading out into a spider's web. A vast number of threads that branched off from the single one that attached itself to the candle holder was really weird in a number of different ways. Very off-putting. I was looking at a specific candle holder, following the string out and glaring into that darkness, when a chill went up my spine, and for whatever reason, I got the sensation that someone was standing behind me, looking at me. I don't know why, but I felt afraid to move, almost terrified of turning around, of who or what would be there when I did. So much so that I could actually feel my hands shaking, my heartbeat starting to speed up a bit as I actually began to see my breath, like the air around me suddenly became colder, wanting for heat, as a voice spoke in my direction from right behind me. "Well, How does the day greet you, descendant of Salvius Reaper? The voice said, as I slowly managed to start forcing myself to turn around to look at where this voice was coming from, managing to creak my head over my shoulder, peering past it to see a dark figure, long gray-white hair, like ash, draped in tattered black rags, a withered-looking form, long and unkempt, completely covering their face. All I could see was a single eye glaring out at me from underneath it, from a small separation in the hair. You did take your time, didn't you? He said, as I was suddenly jolted awake. Springing forward in my seat, Renee was still there, sitting in my lap. I, on the other hand, was in a cold sweat. What's wrong? Renee asked, as she looked me over, seeming as if she was startled awake by my movement. I felt my chest. My heart was pounding, wiping my brow and finding that I was in a cold sweat. What the hell kind of dream was that? Ugh, all this monster stuff is starting to get to me, I thought to myself, as I tried to slow my breathing down.